Hey, what's up, family? So, I'm gonna try to make this video again because I tried to make it earlier and I was in the car after I had left the gym, and for some reason it was hooked up to my Bluetooth in the car and the sound wasn't working right. So, and I'm a very busy person, so the fact that I had made a 20-minute video and it was ultimately for nothing, I wasn't going to make a video until tomorrow. But I got some free time and wanted to drop some free game on you. Okay? So, chosen ones, I want you guys to understand that a lot of chosen ones have been through hell and back. Right? We have had a rough childhood almost all our lives. But some of us handle it differently. And I seem to notice that a lot of chosen ones are super focused on demonic attacks and all kinds of things like that, like demonic attacks and what's the word that I'm looking for? Just spiritual attacks from the enemy, from the devil, which that is fine. That is fine to understand the spiritual attacks that come from the enemy. But one thing that I have noticed in my life is I am aware of the attacks, but I don't keep giving them power over and over and over. If you are too hyper focused on the spiritual attacks, then that means you have too much time on your hands. Now, I've noticed a lot of people seem to say that they have these mental health issues such as depression, such as anxiety, such as things like this. And I've had anxiety, and there was a time in life where I had felt depressed. But I don't believe in depression, because I believe that depression is simply you sitting stagnant for too long. If you sit back and stay in one spot for too long and you don't focus on goal setting, goal hitting, then you can feel depressed. What I want you to understand is your mind speaks to your soul. And just like God speaks to your soul. But the thing you have to understand is your mind is the controller of your body. So that's why if your mind is in a negative place, your body is going to feel low energy. Your body is going to feel sick on the inside. So what I want you to understand is what I had done when I was a young child. I want you to understand that I survived death at birth. And I have been under so many attacks that a lot of people's attacks that they say that they have been through is just a small glimpse of the things that I've been through since birth. And I want you to understand that at 8 years old also, so not only did I survive death since birth and made it out of that, but growing up, I was abused by an alcoholic that my mother was with. And also on top of it, I was in a state that I wasn't from, because my dad got put in prison when I was 8 years old, and my mother moved me away from Texas, brought me to Ohio, and then she had some whatever fascination for getting with these alcoholics. My dad was also an alcoholic, and his actions during it is what led him to prison. He has been in there since I was 8 years old. So he's been in there for about 30 years. Okay? I'm 34 years old. I turned 35 in March. That's a long time, family. All right. So my mom moved me to Ohio and got with this alcoholic that used to abuse me. And I want you to understand that during this time, my mother was all that I had. And she didn't believe me when I told her what this man was doing. And you can imagine being an 8-year-old child and your only person that you have that is supposed to protect you didn't believe you, right? Now, this is when the first time that I had an encounter with God was when I was a young child. And God came to me one day when I knew that this man was getting ready to attack me. God came to me this day and put it in my spirit that I needed to run. So I ran to a house down the street of a buddy I used to hang out with, because every once in a while his family would take me to church with them, right? So God, how did I know at 8 years old, when nobody had ever told me about God really, although I had been to church a few times, my spirit knew where to go. So during that time, family, I ran and ran and ran. And I remember I showed up to the house and I knocked on the door and I was in tears. And I explained to the Christian woman that I was being abused by this guy. And she asked if my mom knew about this. And I said, yes, but she didn't believe me. She thought it was just because I was a rough child. Because back then I used to like to BMX. And I used to like to do I was a physical child, like a lot of boys are, but I was a roughneck, right? Well, anyways, so that woman called the cops. The cops showed up, told my mom that she had to either leave that dude or they were taking me. So she obviously left the man, and I had never seen him again. Then she got with another man that was the same way. And it's never till later when they start exposing their colors. You know what I mean? So she was with him for a couple years. He wasn't too bad. And then later on, he started getting worse and worse and worse and worse, right? And by this time, I was a kid that wasn't going to tolerate being abused any longer. So I'm about 12, 13, 14 years old. And that's when I started taking on boxing and MMA. I was doing MMA and boxing for self-defense and just to learn how to fight, because I knew that I had to learn how to fight for myself at this time, because nobody else was fighting for me. So I want you to understand the adversity that I had faced at a very young age was back to back to back to back. And I had nobody, family. Just me and God. And sometimes it didn't even feel like I had my mom if she didn't believe me, right? So this is when I started going in and out of jail as a young child, because I refused to be abused. And I started going to the boxing gym and getting my hands right, learning how to scrap, okay? So I would get into a fist fight with this dude when he would try to abuse me, and I would put it on this dude. And some way, somehow, the cops would get called, and I would end up in JDC, which is Juvenile Detention Center. So all this stuff that I had faced, and they thought that I was just this unruly child. But in all reality, I was just hurt and alone and trying to defend myself. So imagine having to be a grown man at 12, 13, 14 years old. Finally, it got to the point where I got about 16, 17 years old, and by then I was a stocky boy because I was working out. I had been boxing for years, and this dude really, he really tried to hurt me, he really tried to fist fight me and caught me off guard when I wasn't paying attention, and I blacked out. So I snapped out, and I threw this dude all over the house, was throwing him through tables and walls and everything, right? Now imagine all that chaos. I was only 14, 15 years old, right? Well, anyways, at that time, I had beat this dude up so bad that he left because he realized he was no longer going to get over on me. He was no longer going to treat me or my mother any type of way. Okay, so then I was finally with just me and my mother, and things went well for maybe a year. And then that's when my mother passed away. So I had went through all that chaos for all them years, right? And when I finally got the chance to try to experience love and experience balance and peace with just me and my mom, right? And she passed away. And because of all the trials and tribulations that I had been through, and because of all the people that I had seen during my lifetime that were abusive, that I couldn't trust, when my mother passed away, it scared me so bad because I didn't want to go to children's services. I didn't want them to put me with some stranger because at this time, as a child, all I knew was I couldn't trust nobody. So I hit the ground running. That's when I became homeless and I was running the streets wild. I was a broken child at that time, and that's when the same addictions that caught my father and all the men that my mom was with began to get me, because I was trying to cope with the pain that I had went through. I began drinking and using drugs heavily. And at the time, I was at that partying age. So to me, it wasn't really a problem. To me, it was just, I was just trying to have fun, trying to party and do what all the kids did at that age. And I was also coping with the loss. But I didn't understand that a couple years go by and it got to the point where it was getting out of hand, where I was already bar hopping. I was already running around in the streets bar hopping. I was selling drugs to survive. Now, nothing serious, like I wasn't selling heroin or meth or anything like that. But that's where I had dabbled with pain pills and marijuana. I was selling it to survive. Now, I want you to understand, this is how it all starts. That I didn't just choose the street life, family. The street life chose me. I didn't understand what was going on, and all I knew was how to survive. So I want you to understand all that adversity already from birth all the way into 17 years old. It was back to back to back to back to back adversity. So then I end up going to prison, right? I went to prison for about 2 years, and during prison was where my mindset completely switched. During prison, when I had time to reflect and I was clean off of everything and I had all the distractions out of the way, and I was super hurt that I was there, and I was mad at myself, and I really had time to heal from my mother's passing and all the things that I had been through. And I hated prison so much because I was around a bunch of people in there that I thought I was a better person then. I didn't think that I belonged in there. So while I'm in prison, I want you to understand that that's where I really began to buckle down on working out, because I was just trying to pass time. That's what it started at, is I'm just trying to pass time and I'm going to become my best self so that when I hit the streets, people ain't going to know what to think. They're going to see a whole different animal when I hit the streets. So when I got out, let me rewind a little bit. So while I'm there, I'm working out heavy. I'm working out like twice a day and eating, and I'm reading. I'm doing little things like this. I'm going to the church to get closer to God, because at that time I was so alone, I didn't know who else to turn to. Working out, going to church, eating. Working out, going to church, eating. That's all I did. And I felt my vibration raising. I felt me becoming my highest form. I began to look good, feel good. My mind was clear, it was focused. I started to see some light at the end of the tunnel. So I want you to understand that that's where working out became a thing into my life, where I understood that not just working out, but following God were the two most important things that you can do in life. Because I was such a broken and lonely child and didn't know which path to go. So when I got out of prison, that's when I got a job, and I made sure that I was working out heavy all the time. And I've remained to do that from then until now. I've always worked out. And I want you guys to understand that if you're not working out and you're not filling your time with positive actions, that's the only reason that you're lost, depressed, or full of anxiety. That's a sure sign that you're just hurt on the inside. You're hurt on the inside and it's showing on the outside. So what I want you to understand is, I understood that working out was my therapy. It was the thing that cleared my mind, body, and soul. It made me feel better. It raised my energy. It opened my mindset. It gave me purpose. And it felt good to be focusing on myself and bettering myself any way that I can. So I want you to understand that you have to understand not to have the victim mentality. And it's okay if you had been lost before. But I want you to understand all those things that I've been through is what made me strong on the inside once I began to recreate myself. So if you're battling with these type of issues where you feel lost or alone or hurt or depressed or whatever the case may be, that make this the year that you refuse to go backwards again. Make this the year where you refuse to stay stagnant any longer. I want you to set a plan this year and stick to it. Hit these goals. Because I've noticed every single time that the new year comes, I see new people come in the gym and they're not there but 2 months and they're out again. And they never get the results. Chosen ones, what I want you to understand is you need to set goals, lock in, and hit your goals. You can't continue to lie to yourself about things that you want to do and goals that you want to hit. You can't continue to be running around after all the things that you had been through as a chosen one, because I know that some of you may have similar stories. Or maybe you even just had a rough childhood, and you hold on to it. But what I want you to understand is, think of all those things that I went through and overcame. And now today I'm happier than I've ever been. I have days where it can feel rough sometimes because God had me in isolation, and I put myself in isolation too, because I needed to refocus and lock in, because I'm trying to focus on new goals, new aspirations. But what I want you to understand is, if you fill that time that you have with just sitting there stagnant, and you focus and lock in on goals. So I want you to be going to the gym, eating healthy, writing goals down. Whatever it is that you have to do to fill in that gap, reading books, maybe looking for a new career path that can make you happy. Write these things down. And I want you this year to lock in, family. Lock in. Just make sure that you put God on the forefront. because God's going to heal you on the inside. And that's where it all starts. You must heal on the inside. With God and going to the gym and eating healthy, you are going to completely transform your internal DNA. And I want you to understand that that was the biggest thing that I ever did in my life, and I don't know how I would have ever survived without that. So I just wanted to give you this story to maybe give you some motivation and some understanding and let you know, chosen one, that you aren't alone. And that I faced things that a lot of people could never see. I gave you guys a quick story of it because I'm trying to keep this video at a decent time, because I could go on for an hour here. So I just wanted to let you know that you're not alone. And that if you're facing adversity and you've been through hard things, that it's a sure sign that you're special. You just have to bring it out of yourself. So I want you to lock in, stay focused, stay positive, stay blessed. And if you want a coach to help you get through some things, a mentor, I will do coaching. And I will do one-on-one phone calls. I can help you learn how to work out, or just give you advice that you need on how to get through things, or just be that friend that you may need. And I will leave the Royal Chosen Kingdom email down in the description so you can contact me if you need to. Just know that you're not alone, family. And even though sometimes it may feel like it, you're not. Know that God's always there. You are special. You are loved. And you will make it through it. But we can't allow ourselves to play victim any longer, and we have to lock in and become the lion that God knows we are. We are chosen ones, and we are meant to be lions. And we are the chosen army here. We're going to come together and level up in 2024. And I'm going to help guide you guys through it, and you guys can help guide me through it as well. We are a family, a team. And I just want you to know that. So I love y'all. And I'm going to try to make another video as soon as possible. I just felt that this message needed to get out. It's very vital that we truly lock in 2024. And just know that I've been through so much that I can definitely help you if you need it. If you just need someone to have your back. Because there isn't a lot of people that's been through the things that I've been through. So, again, I love you. And like this video. If you're not subscribed to the family, subscribe to the family. And also, I want to welcome all the new subscribers, and I thank you for joining the team. Also, share this video to some other people who may need to know that they aren't alone, who may need a team, an atmosphere, like-minded individuals that can come together and remain strong. Always lead with love, family. Sometimes I might be hard on people, but I always do it with love. Because I know that if we feel sorry for ourselves, sometimes we forget how powerful we truly are. So I'll see you guys on the next video. And again, the email will be down in the description if you need to contact me. Salute, family.